Hi, my name is Ron Bernard. I'm currently in Beijing. I'm an animation producer for Red Dragon. I've been in Asia for over 12 years now, but I started in America. I was working for SideFX, which is a software company. I was a university professor teaching visual effects and movie effects. I've also worked for major companies like BaseFX. Actually, I started as a technical guy. I started doing computer science, programming, and all this stuff, numbers. And one day I took a art class. Kind of not on a whim, but I had some interest in art, and I really, really wanted to explore that side. And so I started to try to shift over from computer science to computer art, which at that time it just meant like computer graphics. There was really no real computer graphics classes at that time. It was basically graphic design using old school programs that don't even exist anymore, but just really pen and paper, sculpting knives, markers, like that type of stuff. And we slowly, like I think towards the end of my college career, they started to have these programs, um, and I just gravitated to that. And what I really like about these programs were, at that time, they were really really technical, and I'm a technical person, so it allowed me the freedom to kind of use my technical expertise to kind of like really mm, pull more out of the program than people who are just like pure artists.
Yeah.
Um, so I think for me, I was able to excel because I had a technical background, whereas people who are just pure artists, they didn't really know how to utilize the software because software wasn't intuitive at that time. So for me, going from there into visual effects was like perfect because visual effects itself is marriage between art and math. Like you have to have both. Um, what I particularly excel in is at particle dynamic simulations. This is where you try to recreate the real life in the computer. So in this case, fire, water, explosions, all that stuff is really technical. You have to have a really strong understanding of mathematics, calculus, physics. How does things move in nature? How things flow? How do things and able to take that and actually apply some mathematical principles into the computer to get more believable effect. So that's what I did. Um, and at that time, there was no really place to learn this stuff. So I started traveling. I would pick up little workshops here and there. There was a workshop in Boston. There was a workshop in New York. I just kept traveling, try to piece together things to get going. And I was at a particular workshop in Boston, and I was just flying through. I just loved it. Everyone wanted to hire me at that time, but at that time they wanted to hire me for technical things. Product demos, things like that. But my true passion is films. My true passion is film storytelling and films, and I didn't want to just get stuck into the guy who's doing designs for Nikes, which what they were doing. They were asking for 3D designs for Nikes and products and things like that. And one of the lecturers was like, there's a brand new school in Savannah that has a brand new program. You should check it out. Um, Turns out that this program was like one of the best in the world. It's Savannah College of Art and Design, which I later went to, and later I graduated, of course. But I later actually became a professor. I became a professor of visual effects because again, at that time, there wasn't that many people on the earth who knew how to do these technical things and make them look believable. So I worked there as a professor for a while, and I also reached out to some people in LA. I worked in LA a bit, helping SideFX there, and I just kept getting these great opportunities. In the back of my mind, my focus was films, storytelling. Like uh, people know me as a media junkie. I watch everything. I watch all the TV, all the movies, anime, music video, everything. I just absorb everything, and I think that's kind of important for what we do because a lot of film people they speak in terms of like films. Like yeah, I want that from Blade Runner. I want that from whatever. And if you don't have this film knowledge, if you're not absorbing everything, you don't really can't really relate to what people really want for you. So as long as this journey, me picking up pieces and working in different places where um, one of my mentors said, "Hey, there's this thing going on in Asia. Um, Asia is also starting to pick up these things, and there's some opportunities in Beijing." At this time, this was 2008. And they were really starting to pick things up. So I flew over to Asia. I loved it. I worked there for a while. I worked there teaching and also working in films. I also worked at Base Effects doing not only visual effects, but also helping them to build up their team. I helped them build up their visual effects team, their match moving, like all this stuff is new. And I think the thing that I really like about, not really a startup, but kind of a grassroots approach is that you get to really have a say in how you sculpt the company culture and the company ecosystem. And so we were just going out and building these systems, and it was a really fun and great time. But I really still think at that time, China was too early. It was really too early. They were really on the cusp of something great, but it was only a few companies who were doing things, and it was really, really hard to get people from LA, Hollywood to kind of like buy into like, why should we trust this weird Chinese company with our mega big blockbuster stuff that we don't know if you're going to steal it, So it was kind of hard. We were proving it slowly but surely. I still remember those days fondly where we would work on like Beethoven's Fifth, which is like a direct to DVD thing, and then slowly we'll work there to some sci-fi TV stuff, and like they slowly kept trusting us, but I think still it was too early. But at the same time, Singapore was exploding with their own things, and I had a really good opportunity to work at Singapore. And again, the thing I liked about Singapore was they gave me the freedom. They gave me the freedom to really craft and have a say in how we develop the entire program. So initially, I went there to head up a school for visual effects. But what ended up happening is I started to work with everyone. I started to work with the government. I worked with the local media companies. I worked with uh, different partners and things. And I really felt part of the community. I really felt part of the film and visual effects community. And I still to this day, I have really, really strong ties with a lot of those people from the government up to uh, everyone really. And the really cool thing about that is that Singapore is like a hub. Singapore is a hub for all of Asia, if not all the world. It's kind of like the entry point for Westerners to go to Asia. Like Singapore is the easiest option because they speak English. They're kind of like westernized in some respects. Crazy rich Asians, um, and so it's a lot easier for like a Westerner to go to Asia than to China. China is like a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Uh, so while at Singapore, because there's this hub, they would send me out, and I loved it because I was not only petitioning to get work for my company or my students, but work for Singapore. So they sent me to Germany and Canada, Hungary, Vietnam, like anywhere you can imagine. And I loved it because again, they gave me this opportunity, and I would bring that back. I bring all these things I came back and bring my students opportunities, bring Singapore opportunities, and really try to shape kind of the whole film world in Singapore. So that was a really, really great experience, and I really loved that. Um, Circling back to China, by this time, I think around 2016, China was fully matured, and pretty much like well on its way. And then I started getting some more interest for me to come back to China. So I came back to China, and that's where I met the lovely co-host here. um, and at that time, everyone had fully recognized that, yo, China's becoming a powerhouse. They have skilled people. They've got a lot of opportunities. If you don't get in where you can fit in, you're going to miss out. And so then everyone was fully vested into China. I think the interesting thing now is, I think, and this is just my own insights, I could be wrong, but I really feel like now is going backwards again. I think now everyone knows about China, right? I mean, China becomes this whole thing, especially with COVID and everything. But I think now the places to look out for is like Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia, because they are also on the cusp of something big. And I think a lot of people are moving their work toward there, and Malaysia as well.
Mhm.
So now it's interesting to see now with how things are developing, where things are going, where that might lead me. I have a strong passion for films, visual effects, TV, and working with international people. I think that's what originally drawn me over here because when I was working in LA, when I was working on the East Coast, I didn't really have a lot of opportunity to work with international teams or even people from West Coast or East Coast. It's kind of like segmented at that time. And just coming here, I had so many great opportunities to work with people all over the world, and it really kind of opened up my mind, a little bit opened up my global perspective. It's like, yo, there's cool people in Germany and Canada and Indonesia and places never even heard of before,
Yeah.
Cambodia, and they're all doing great work, and they're doing great films as well. If you see a Thai commercial, it will make you cry. It's so good. A Thai commercial, a Thai 5 minute commercial selling you insurance will make you cry. That's how good their production quality is. And I just love that. I love like absorbing all this stuff. All this stuff gives me inspiration, watching those Thai commercials, see the craftsmanship of their photography, their lighting, the direction, their framing, their acting is just beautiful. I'm like, whoa, whoa. And that's what inspires me. I would tell my younger self, um, don't be afraid of being uncomfortable. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. Put yourself in a place where you're going to challenge yourself to not take the easy road, because 9 times out of 10, that harder road will lead you to much greater places. Not only within yourself to have self, growth, but growth with the people around you. Just me coming over here, I was able to bring over people I knew from back home over here. I brought over 10 people I knew, from different places, and like, hey man, there's a good opportunity. Come over here, check it out. It's gonna be fine. It's cool. You're not gonna get any trouble. And they've had great careers. I brought one of my students with me to SIGGRAPH. SIGGRAPH is a huge event in Japan, and I was like, yo man, come over here, bring your resume, bring yourself, get ready. And I knew people, I knew Yorichi from Polygon, and I introduced him to him, and he got a job on the spot. Like on the spot, he got a job, and that's why I really love. I love like pulling yourself outside of that comfort zone and allowing yourself to like feel and take a risk and take challenges and to, you know, increase your potential.